This is the Round 2 podcast with Galen Parker and Stephanie Nicole, where we talk to big thinkers, big dreamers, and big idea havers. Quitting and failing are not the same thing, and we're going to show you why. Gentlemen, we once again want to welcome you back to the Round 2 podcast starring Stephanie and Nicole. Stephanie, say hello to the people.
Hey, everybody.
Everybody. She is getting better, guys. I know you've seen it. You saw it in the comments. She's a little bit more energy every time. At first, it was, hey, everybody. Now it's, hey, everybody. Now she's smiling. Now she's looking at the camera. We're doing big things in 2024 in episode 18. But, guys, we have got, I don't want to say we got a banger for you. What's bigger than banger, Stephanie? If on the scale of magnitude, you got your bangers, what do you got after that?
I'm not even sure.
I mean, you're down with the kids. You know the lingo. I'm older than you are. I don't know the lingo. I'm not on the Twitch or on the threads. You're the queen of threads right now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're thinking what the next thing of after banger is, tune into this episode. This is what it is. We've got Dr. Life for you. He's going to fix your life. He's going to talk to you about life, and he's going to share a little bit about his life, because as we go through this entrepreneurship journey, we know there's going to be ups and downs. We've brought people on the show who talked about their story, but sometimes we need to just stop and get built up a little bit. And so this is going to be like a virtual handshake, a virtual hug, a little bit of a 30-minute pep talk. So as you've turned on your car, I want you to turn up your radio. I want you to focus, make sure you observe the traffic lines, but we're going to have some information for you that we're going to build you up. Dr. Life, tell them who you are. Let the people know if they don't already.
Peace, peace, peace. I am Dr. Life. That's a very complex question. I'm striving to really know who I am, not what I do or what I've become. So at all times, I want to be the full magnitude of the purpose that God designed me for when he was creating me before I hit the womb, right? So whatever that looks like in the world, that's who I am. I'm everything I'm supposed to be at this point, and just enough to make it to the next point. I do for a living. I'm a transformational speaker, retired Marine, but once a Marine, always a Marine, intense therapeutic foster parent, coach, consultant. I do a lot of weird and unique things, but I think that's what we need in a time such as this. Everybody wants to be in a box. My speaking style is not in the box. I'm a creative communicator, transformational speaker, more so than motivational speaker. So it's just a host of things. But at the end of the day, I am the full magnitude of the ideas that God had for me when he created me.
I love it. That's an introduction. If you guys don't know, that's what I want these introductions to sound like from here on. Every guest, this is the bar we set. I wrote down, and we're gonna go back to this. I wrote down the words culture consultant, because you know that piqued my interest, because I'm like, I love that. I love when anyone can just say, hey, look, there's a lot of things, but this is what I am. Maybe you chose a lane, maybe you create a lane. I love when people create the lane for yourself. But before we even dive into that, how long were you in the Marines?
21 years, door to door.
So what year did you?
Yeah, I got in and got out. A little quick run.
21 years. That doesn't feel like a quick run. That's the same age as Stephanie, I think. So what year did you go in?
I went in 1995. It was the first job I ever had in my life.
Nice. Okay. So you saw the world?
Oh, yeah. Definitely saw the world, the good, the bad, the uglies, the in-between. But wherever I went, there was one thing that I always strived to do was find people who looked like me. I wanted to know the struggles of people who looked like me. So no matter if we were stationed there or we were just there as a pit stop, I would always find myself in some prison speaking on deployments and homeless shelters. Anywhere that they looked like us, I was trying to figure out what was going on with us around the world so I can have a better rounded idea of this thing that I'm a part of.
Man, that is so important. I think a lot of this show, Stephanie, we've talked about this, of just saying, how can we impact people who have ideas? Everyone's got an idea of what they want to do. They've got a plan. Maybe they haven't even uttered it. Maybe you're driving right now and you've got an idea and you're afraid to even say it out loud. But we got this podcast together because we want not only you to say it out loud, we want you to write it down. We want you to execute. We want you to plan. When you say you're not a motivational speaker, you're a transformational speaker. I love that. Tell us what that means to you.
A motivational speaker is a short-lived assignment, really. Motivation is like a spark that starts your car. Motivation is very necessary for any and everything that you do. When I started out, I was a motivational speaker. Run on the stage, scream, make everybody feel good. but you would leave with nothing tangible,
Mm.
right? There was no way for that to transform your life. You'd be like, life killed it. But I didn't give you a tangible takeaway. I didn't give you anything that you could utilize when you went home. I just made you feel real good. So for me, that was it's almost like a parlor trick. So when I started researching what I was doing, I said, no. Transformation is no matter what industry that you're in, you're striving to transfer, whether it's somebody from one mind state to another, somebody that's not your client to becoming your client, whatever you're doing, you're striving to transform. So when I hit a stage, there's three components that I use at all times. I'm going to have to come with motivation to excite you about the thing I need you to learn. So then I'm going to have to give you education, and then I'm going to have to give you inspiration. How do you utilize this education that I give you that can transform your life at the end? Now, I can't transform you, but I will give you all the tools that when you walk out after I speak, if you don't make the transformation, you made a conscious decision not to. So I want to make sure that I just don't talk loud and don't be saying nothing for real. I want to make sure that when you walk out of the room after dealing with me, you got a step-by-step process of understanding, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you can utilize to transform your life and get the way
Stephanie,
you're
how
going.
important is that?
Very important. And this is somebody who actually helped me in real life really get my speech and my public speaking together. So what he's saying is real, and he really does help people in real life. I'm making people cry now. So you mentioned that you were in the Marines for over 20 years. How do you think that prepared you to transform into being a transformational speaking coach and speaker?
Oh, well, so in the Marine Corps, I had this unique skill set. You have to actually motivate Marines. That's a real thing. You have to lead, guide, and direct people in some of the most tumultuous situations in the world. So I didn't even know there was a thing called a motivational speaker outside, but building a esprit de corps or the spirit of camaraderie was one of those things that I had a real good knack at. And then it took me out of my profession and I started setting up leadership schools. And then when I got to squadrons and units, instead of sending me to work my job, there's like, oh, you're the squadron gunny. You're great with personnel. I can inspire you to run into fire falling out of the sky. And for some reason, we believe we're going to make it home, right? So these things were being honed in that space. And then I had to take people from every corner of the United States. There were literally people that never saw a black person outside of the TV that were learning the culture of who you were by looking at you. Velasquez, I'll never forget, woke me up in the middle of the night. Hey, Gunny, wake up, wake up, wake up. And I'm looking around like, what's going on? I'm reaching for my M16. What's going on? He's like, Gunny, something's wrong, something's wrong. I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Tell me, big dog, what's going on? He's like, no. The bottom of your feet are white. I said, Velasquez, what are you talking about? No, Gunny, something's wrong. The bottom of your feet are white. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, no. The bottom of your feet. I said, big dog, are you playing with me right now? He's like, no. Your feet. I was like, so the palms of my hands. And he sat on his bed. He was like, I'm sorry, Gunny. I said, you sorry what? He said, I've never seen a black person up close before.
Wow.
So he was sitting on the bed, trying to hit the palms of his hands in and turning them out. I said, Velasquez, what are you doing? He says, why are the palms of my hands brown? He had literally not seen a black person up close and personal in his space. And now we're sharing canteens and sharing rooms. So the culture of the space that I was in, there's a book called The Culture Code. It started getting me to understand culture is a design. To get people to feel that they're a part of the culture, you have to make sure that they're safe. And if you make them feel safe, they know that you care. Then you could bring them into your culture and start designing the world that you want to design with the people that's in your charge. So the Marine Corps prepared me because I had to lead people. It didn't matter race, creed, or color. They white, black, wait a minute, African American, Caucasian, Asian, Vietnamese, Philippine, Korean, and Jamaican, Haitian, Hispanic. Please be patient. Mexican, Puerto Rican, Venezuelan, Cuban, Dominican, Panamanian, Democrat. Beg your pardon, Reagan, Republican, Independent, Christian, Catholic, Methodist, Baptist, Seventh-day Adventist, 5% of Sunni Muslim brothers and sisters. It didn't matter where you came from. I had to learn how to communicate with you in a way that would inspire you to move. So, yeah, the Marine Corps definitely prepared me for the world.
I don't know if the world is prepared for you, though.
Oh, man, listen, let's make a new one. I don't want it to be ready. I want to disrupt the culture. I want to do the unbelievable. I want people that look like me, that come from my neighborhood. And I'm big about that. Our representation in the space is important. Because when you hear Marine, you're like, oh, he was in the field with a gun. No. I did defense electronic countermeasures on airplanes. So even though I was from the hood, I learned how to learn in the Marine Corps. I had one of the top jobs in the world. Them black boxes they talk about on airplanes, I worked on black boxes on airplanes. I had a top secret security clearance. I worked on the safes that downed NATO and the Allied forces. So when they hear, oh, you was a Marine, they get this thing about, oh, he probably, no. Highly educated, but I learned how to learn in the military. So it was one of those things. I played myself short my whole life until I got to a space where it was real. It wasn't A's and B's, it was life and death. I look at speaking the same way.
When
When I say something, somebody may die if I say it the wrong
I
way.
was when I was researching you this afternoon, I'm watching your videos, and I thought to myself, I was like, man, life has got like a battle rapper's cadence. Yeah,
I
and I was
do.
like, which I love, but I was like, man, I like it because it really plays with the ear, right? Because it's like you're listening to things like, like you're always engaged in guessing, and I think frankly, we live in a TikTok world where people cannot pay attention for nothing. So like the way that you kind of convey it, like it's like we have no choice but to pay rapt attention. In some of your videos, you had mentioned, I think in one of them, you went to, was it like a it was young men, and I don't know if it was like a juvenile detention center or something. I forgot what it was. Why did you? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, why did you think like speaking to those? Because I've gone,
Absolutely.
like, I used to volunteer for like down here in Richmond. There's a Bonaire, and they had the Bonaire Juvenile Correctional Facility, and they made like a documentary of that place because that place was like gladiator school. Why did you think it was so important for you to kind of reach out to them?
Dodged prison my whole life. My whole life, intense probation, things like that. Dodged prison my whole life just to be called to go back in. So in South Carolina, at the time, we had one of the bloodiest riot in American history, so it was said, in prison. In 24 hours, top gang leaders literally got their heads cut off. No disrespect, no gory stuff, because these are my brothers. 7 people were killed in 24 hours. 30 people were brutally assaulted, stabbed, to the point that people are trying to jump over razor wire to get out of the dorm. For a year, they locked these brothers behind the wall, and they was not coming out of the building. So I got a call from my mentor, Andre Norman. He said, hey, I got this idea. So what's the idea? He said, we're going to go into South Carolina. We're going to ask for the most violent offenders, whoever's stabbing staff, whoever's stabbing inmates, the top offenders, top gang leaders. We're going to put them all in one dorm, and we're going to guarantee no violence. And I was like, yo, that joint sounds crazy. I was like, nah, let's do it. He's like, huh? I said, let's do it. So we go into this prison, and we took the top gang leaders from the G's, Growth and Development, and Gangster Disciple. We took the top gang leaders from organization leaders, and we brought these brothers into one space. So this was a state prison. I still coach a couple of those organizations on Sunday night, the Bloods to be exact. We're bringing the G's into the call now. But for the last 5.5 years, we ran that dorm. They hadn't found one piece of metal in our block. So much so, after the communication, conversation, and culture, the actual system started calling our block to stop violence inside SCDC, a South Carolina Department of Corrections. If you go down my page, there's a brother that was stabbing a CO, and one of our guys came and rescued a CO. That never happens in prison. So we got to the space of understanding the culture of who we are. So that thing I'm on that yard, that's a maximum security prison. There is no police back there with me. I'm in the F7, you in the Terror Dome, and anything that can
Yeah.
happen will happen. So my conversation is highly important in those spaces, because the wrong word, the wrong mistake, it could cost you something, and it could make that whole dorm crash out. So in those spaces where people like, where did you learn to communicate? It's always life and death with me, not claps and boos. So that prison that you saw me in, I'm still highly engaged with those brothers. We do backpack drives. If you see me outside, I got 1,000 backpacks. That's funded from brothers in prison.
Interesting.
That's funded from organizations. Yeah, so it's been super
That's
dope,
awesome, man.
man.
That give him a round of applause for that.
It's a weird world. The 15-year-old that killed my best friend was in our block. So I had to mentor the 15-year-old who killed my best friend, who I had to tell his mother to pull the plug on. So the world is a little different when you're called to do a thing. So I keep telling people, it's like, oh, you're not on the stage like this one or that one. I said, I'm somewhere between E.T. and El Haj Malik El Shabazz. I don't know if I'm Malcolm or if I'm Inky, right? But I know my purpose is different. So I'm going to have to be constructed different. I'm going to have to deliver different. It's going to have a certain level of creativity, as well as I'm going to have a certain oomph when I walk in there, because everything that you're talking about that you are, your metal will be tested.
For sure. For sure.
So you mentioned that you had 3 components when you were, creating a speech or presenting in front of people, that you use motivation, education, and inspiration. So what is the process that you use to create that story that's going to be presented to the public, and a story that's going to also keep them engaged while having those 3 components?
So the thing is, we all have a dynamic story of our life. I don't believe that we worship a cynical God. Some people think they go through problems and it's about them when it's not. It's about who you're purposed for, right? These problems are putting you into a purpose space. And once you correct the problem, now you're qualified to assist others in correcting their issues. So when I hit a stage, and especially in the places that I speak in, some people will be like, man, everybody got a story. Nobody want to hear that. Some people don't believe in that. So I got to add fact, quotes, and statistics to make all of this line up. So I'm going to motivate you with my life. This is how I got through the worst situations and circumstances with these speeches. When I'm talking about my friends, it's real tombstones attached to this conversation. When I talk about my success, I just wasn't in the military. I was in the Marine Corps, right? So even when I think about the spaces and places that I frequent, there's a certain terminology, there's a certain thing that comes along with it. So when I hit that stage, my life will motivate you. Me being a doctor, like I got an honorary doctorate off of doing this thing that I do, right? So I'm gonna make your excuses excuseless. I didn't go the conventional route on anything that I did. It should motivate you. I hope you say, man, ain't nothing special about him. You right. I'm just crazy enough to believe it. So if I go to the stage, I'm like, it's nothing special about me. I'm just crazy enough to believe this thing, right? People will get amped off the passion. And then they say, well, how did you do it? I said, it's these bees that I wear every day, right? There's three things I do in life. These bumblebees are making the impossible the I'm possible, right? So believe, educate,
I can hear you
execute,
now.
no matter where I'm at. If I'm not making it to my mark, in one of those houses I'm lacking, that's the educational aspect. I don't care what you want to do. First, you're going to have enough belief to stand on it. That's foundational. Then belief ain't enough. We know people that believe they can do anything. They believe they can sing. They can't sing anything. Right? Then you have to get education on the thing that you want to do. So now once I'm on my speech part, I give education on what I'm talking about. I research. I study this thing, right?
Ain't that
And
the
then
truth?
at the end of that, it's execution. Even right now, like some people come in here and be like, no, I got an opportunity to speak to the world. I'm going to turn up like you always see me turn up, right? So execution for me is not, I made this cute little plan and I'm following the checklist. No. Execution also means that I'm going to kill it. If I come to execute anything, I don't come piece the way, half the way, or part the way. I come all the way. I don't come at all, right? So when I hit that stage, so what I just did just now was I told you about my life, where I came from, boom, and motivation. He got a doctorate, he made it through the Marine Corps, he doing all these fly things, motivation. Then I'm telling you, it's nothing special about me. I can do this thing too. It's a 3-part thing that I follow: belief, education, execution. What I just gave you was motivation, education, and giving you my 3 pillars. And then inspiration, tell it's nothing dope about me. I'm just crazy enough to believe it. The world is ran by mad scientists like us that was crazy enough to be the Frankenstein monsters that they create. We were crazy enough to create this potion to cure problems, but we drunk it first. We were our own lab rats. So now when I come and tell you this works, no, look at my life. If it don't work, don't look at the fruit of my
And
labor.
for those
It's
of you
evident,
guys who are
right?
listening,
So
I
that's
hope
when I go to a stage. I want to
when
give
I
you
say write down
motivation,
gems, these are the gems I'm
education,
talking about you can write
inspiration.
down,
How do
because
you use this
you're
thing?
thinking
If
to
you don't make it
yourself,
to where
man,
you're
there's nothing
going, you don't have
special
enough
about
belief,
me. Well,
you're not
that's
educated
right.
enough, or you're
There's
not
nothing special
executing
about
at the
Stephanie.
level to
There's
get you
nothing
where you
special
want to
about
be.
Galen. There's nothing special about the doctor here. We are just the people that I woke up one day. I said, you know what? We could do this. I remember DM and Stephanie. I was like, Stephanie, you know what we should do? And Stephanie was like, I've never had a yes come back so quick. She was like, yes, let's do it. But that's how it's got to be with everything that you do. When I have people on our team and they're like, how did you do X, Y, Z? I'm like, I'm making it up as I go. It's just working. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to pivot and do something else. Dr. Life, there have been you're in my mind, success is not measured by commas. How do you measure success, and how would you identify a time when you weren't successful, and what did you do to get yourself out of that so that you could move on to the next thing?
So first, success for me, I know a lot of successful, unsuccessful people. I know a lot of multimillionaires that are miserable.
Mm,
I know some miserable
yeah.
multimillionaires, right? So it's not predicated on money. I'm at best because I'm free. I'm free to move. I'm psychologically free. I'm financially free. I'm economically free. I'm occupationally free. I don't do what I don't want to do, right? I live in a world that I'm at peace with myself. That's rich. That's success. I live the life that I wake up. I wake up fast because that's when I start dreaming. I don't wait to go to sleep to dream. I wake up in my dream. I've created a space. I don't want to leave my house. There's no hotel I'm gonna go to that's doper than the place that I live in, right? So success is measured about how you at peace with your life, how you've created a life that you don't want to vacation from. I don't take vacations. I wake up and can't believe how I live, right? There was a time that I don't know. I don't know if it was, I don't really count it as failure. I was the best rapper in the world. I still got bars for real, right? So I literally rapped as long as I can remember, not realizing this before social media. So if I said I could rap, I gotta go to Anacostia somewhere in DC. I gotta go to New Orleans, Kansas City. I gotta go to the Ninth Ward. Everywhere somebody said they rapped, I had to go face you and spit these bars face to face, right? So
Dude,
much so.
that Freaknik battle rap.
Oh yeah. I
I don't
got
know if y'all
that.
remember that.
Yeah, and this was back in the day. You could not just battle rap they got now. They say some things we could have never said back in the day. Like it was a
Not
display of skills when we battle rap. Not saying that these brothers ain't battle rapping and they got skills, but there's just certain things you wasn't allowed to say. You just can't talk about people's moms all crazy, right? And then we dapping up after that. It's doing this wow. Excellent level of showmanship. So it was a different day. So I was gonna be the best rapper in the world, right? I wanted to do it for a profession until the moment where I got offered deals. I went viral in 2007 for a poem, really, but then they found I could rap. People started offering me things, but there were things that I wasn't going to say while my grandmother was living. There was things we were
mm,
openly doing, but my grandma ain't gonna salute that for real. So even though I wanted it, even though I had the skill set to get to it, it was like my humanity is not gonna let me say that because it's gonna be real. But it wasn't failure in learning how to write rhymes. In 16 bars, I could put a whole story. In 48 bars, which is a song, I could put a whole idea, like a lifetime worth of information in very small spaces, which prepared me to convert to poetry, which prepared me to actually convert to speaking. Because now speaking is like a cheat code. I don't have to rhyme. I don't have to sit behind no beats. I don't have to have a specific rhythm. I just have to say the thing that I believe is the truest thing. I just have to come with my truth and my intelligence to a space and place, and people pay me to talk. They pay me for my ideas and thoughts. So at times, people think that it's a failure. It's only a failure if you don't learn a lesson from it. So I don't have wins and
there we
losses.
go.
I have wins and lessons, right? So these lessons always teach me how to move in the long run. So I don't have too many occupational failures because the first occupation I did, I retired from. Like I never understood working for, and there's no spite to nobody else. Even as a child, I didn't understand working for back in the day. I'm gonna date myself like 375 an hour. I'm like an hour of my time. I could borrow that from somebody. Why would I go work for somebody for that? Like dictate, determine what I got going on. I'm not doing that. So in my life, I've learned that, like I said, I don't worship a cynical God. So anytime I come up short, I'm like, what did I miss out on? What did I do wrong? What didn't I do? The plan is there. The situation is there. My skill set, all that stuff is there. What didn't I do? Did I believe it enough? No. Was I educated enough to pull it off? Or was I willing to go crazy and execute at the top level? What was it? And that's how I figure it out, man. So no failures in life. I think we get strapped up and wrapped up and scared. Oh, I'm a fail. So what? So and who gonna look? They're gonna talk about you if you do. They're gonna talk about you if you don't.
If you don't,
So if they're gonna talk, at least let me give you something to talk about. Let me give you something to say. Let me write my own book because I'm not gonna wait for the obituary aspect of it for y'all to lie over my casket. Let me go ahead and get it all out now, right? And then they're
hmm
gonna pay me for my pain. The more you fail, once you start talking about it, they're gonna pay you more money. The nastier it looks, and the greater you come out on the other end, right? The more they're gonna pay you to talk about it anyway. So for all of y'all out there that just scared to let people know what's going on, got all these skeletons in your closet, man, bring the bones out. Let's go ahead and talk about
cash
it because
out.
somebody needs that healing. I'm not embarrassed because you hear something about me. And let me just throw this out there because I'm already in my bag now, right? The moment somebody judges you for your shortcomings or the vices that you have in your life, ask them, are they believers? And the moment they say yeah, tell them when you throw life away, throw every prophet in your Bible away.
Mm.
We didn't use perfect people to display the love of God. Some of us will look at people that's right next to them and spit in their face. And if you ask them the question, you probably would have spit on Jesus. What you mean? Wasn't perfect in your eyes. All the disciples wasn't perfect in your eyes. Everybody who wrote this manuscript wasn't perfect in your eyes. So if you can't love your brother today like that, it's no way possible. You're going to tell me you're going to believe in these murderers and killers and adulterers and cheaters and liars and scammers, right? So, man, forget what these people say. It's purpose in that.
I've never agreed to something more than that right there. I'm not going to go too deep in it, but so many people talk about being religious and how they have these high expectations for individuals. I'm like, do y'all remember the Apostle Paul? Did y'all look at his history? Do y'all see what he did? I was like, he won't a friend in the beginning. But I do have a question for you because we always want to give them something. I'm a person. Let pretend I'm not a real person. I'm a person. Let's say I've got an idea life. I want to start this business. Everyone around me is doing the same old thing. I got a bunch of critics around me, a bunch of haters. What would you tell that individual to rock his focus, to shake his foundation, to give him the belief? He's got to believe himself, but he needs a push. What would you say to that person?
So the first thing, that conversation was a FaceTime, not a Zoom call. The people around you ain't gonna understand it. They didn't understand Kanye, the old Kanye when he came out rapping the way he was rapping. Wayne when he came out, Hove, Jay-Z when he came out rhyming the way he rhymed. Nobody understood none of that. They didn't understand the Maya Angelou's and all these people. They didn't understand Jimi Hendrix playing his guitar upside down and backwards. They never gonna understand because they've never seen it before. They didn't understand this man saying, I want to make a phone with no buttons. You got to work your thumb because your thumb's up. He made that phone to look like a Snicker bar. He fired everybody back and forth till they could figure out an iPhone, right? So there is nobody who's seen you before. You're uniquely made, divinely made. You ain't going to look like nothing else. They're not going to understand it. Half of the people you're talking to, you're getting destructive criticism because they've never constructed anything. They don't have the capacity to give you constructive criticism if they've never built anything. So I don't need nobody's permission to be dope. If it's in your thoughts, you're robbing God not to execute on that. My question for them is simply this, and I know it's heavy, but it's real. How do you know that there's not somebody that's forced to live a nightmare because you're too scared to live your dreams? Like right now, if Stephanie don't sell the next house, that person is stuck in poverty. That person is stuck in a housing project, and they could potentially get killed in them projects with the things that come with poverty: raped, murdered, maimed, and in prison. Because she just wasn't willing to sell the house. She wasn't willing to give the information on how you could get the funding. She wasn't willing to give somebody the information. She's saving lives. This thing ain't about you. There is somebody's life that's attached to the thing that's in your thoughts. I dare you to trust you more, right? I dare you to tell me. So if you don't do that, cool. So let me just ask a question. Do you believe there's another person that feels every one of your hunger pains? You think somebody care about your headaches more than you? Your stomach aches more than you? So my question is, why do you believe that person you're going to go work for that job cares about your life more than they care about theirs? I know I'm going to make it because I done been here for every headache and heartbreak. I'm not going to rob me. I'm going to go out and get it. There's no way I'm going to go harder for somebody else. Somebody else's dream, because essentially that's what you're building. Then I'm going to go for my own, right? I can't be the second-class citizen to my life no more. I can't be the comedy relief in my life. I gotta be the star in my own life. But some of us have taken the back seat. I know it. It's not poor, it's poverty. It's a mind state that we've adopted, that we've been subjected through Willie Lynch, through supremacy. I don't believe in white supremacy because I don't believe in black inferiority, but there is a dope system that's been set up to crush us, to put us in a position to believe that we can't, that success has a color to it. It has an age bracket. It has a side of town it comes from. It does not. You are the best in the world. The greatest of your bloodline, your own paradigm shifts. Stop waiting for somebody to come save you when you got everything you to save yourself. I believe in you, but it don't mean nothing if you don't believe in yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just arrived at work. Did you hear what he said? I hope before you go into your office, before you clock in wherever you got to be, sit with that for a couple of seconds, please. If you don't do anything I've told you to do these past months, do that one thing. Sit with that. Listen to what he said. Play that back in your mind. If you need to rewind this episode, you've got to believe. That is the whole point of this show. That's the reason why Stephanie's time is not cheap. Ladies and gentlemen, when she's on these screen, she is given to y'all. We did this because we believe in you. We want you to build. I want to see the next invention. I
Come
want
on,
to see
man.
the thing that you are about to build. I need it in my life. Is it a hover car? Is it something that's going to get rid of diabetes? Do you have the cure to cancer, but you're too busy because you don't want somebody to criticize you? You've got the thing. You've got the gift. Dr. Life is telling you, we are trying to give you guys everything that we have. Dr. Life, if they need to reach you, and they do, if they need to follow you, and they should, where can they find you on Instagram?
Life speaks life the regular way. Life speaks life. I don't care if you follow me or not, but if you're in a position, a situation, a circumstance where you need some help, you need a conversation, you need somebody to pick you up, it ain't the stage or the page. I do this in real life in the dark spaces with no applause because people suffer in silence and end up in suicide. So if you need somebody, life speaks life. Shoot me the DM, challenge me to see if I'll help you out. And I will.
I bet he will. Stephanie, if they need to reach you, where do they find you?
Stephanie Nicole RVA on all platforms.
And Stephanie, we've been forgetting, but if you guys haven't done so already, point down for a moment. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Stay up to date. We are giving you guys gems. My name is Galen Parker. You can find me at _Galen Parker on Instagram and pretty much everything. This is the Round 2 podcast starring Stephanie Nicole. I hope this helps. If it doesn't, put it in the comments. Tell us what we did wrong because we're going to do it better the next time. Thank you guys for listening. See you later.
Peace and love.